This is the man from Odessa. I want to share with you a three-part dream about the Chinese war against America. They're not going to be the only ones. They'll be part of a very large coalition, but I want to share with you this dream. It was a three-part dream. The dream starts out, there's a young Chinese boy. He lives in a small village on the coast, and he's working, and I can hear his thoughts. He's thinking about how for some time now he's been a Christian. He was saved. Someone introduced him to Jesus, and he's in love with Jesus, this guy. And he's thinking about his younger brother. He has this younger brother, and he really cares for the younger brother. And he wants to lead the younger brother to Jesus, but he's waiting because he doesn't feel like it's the right time. And on this particular day, he sees a group of ships come over the horizon, and they come really close to the inland, and some boats row out and drop anchor not too far off the shore. And some Chinese soldiers come, and they start yelling at all the people, and they start grabbing the men. And I'm talking about they were grabbing anywhere from 12 to 50. And anybody in this group range had to get in the boats, and they went out and got on the ships, and they put them on the ships. And this was the first scene. There are three scenes. And they couldn't do anything about it. The women were screaming, trying to shield their children. The younger brother, he was like 8 or something. He didn't get taken. But this boy, who was the main person in the dream, he was about 13. And so he gets shipped off to the boat. So the next scene I see are all of these Chinese ships sailing across the ocean. I mean, there are huge ships, small ships, sailboats, fishing boats, everything, and they're all packed with people. And all of these ships are headed to America. And in the next scene, what I see is all of these conscripted soldiers, Chinese, walking through the rubble of an American city somewhere. I mean, everything is sheared off. This is something I've seen in a few dreams. I don't know what causes this. In my dreams, I've only seen the result. And it's like the foundations are there, and there might be like 2 or 3 bricks high, maybe sometimes 2, 2.5, maybe 3 feet left of different portions, but it's sheared off, and there's not piles of rubble somewhere. It's like some huge explosion, like, I don't know, mega powerful, just sheared off all the buildings and swept away everything and deposited it somewhere else. So they're walking through one of these towns, and there is some junk and some burned things, and one of these guys picks up a burned up Mickey Mouse clock, and he's like, wow, I'm gonna keep this and I'm gonna send it back to my sister. She likes Mickey Mouse, right? So he puts it in his backpack. And so this just kind of shows, there are a couple things that are shown here. One is that Chinese people love their families, their brothers and sisters, just like we do. There's nothing different going on. They love each other. And also, you see immediately in the first scene, you have a limited time, and you don't know how much time it is to bring your loved ones to Christ, to preach the gospel of salvation to them. So you don't know when your time will run out. So if you haven't done that, you need to get to it right away, as soon as you can. Okay, the next scene is some ships. These ships are going from America back to China. This is like an illegal cargo. Their cargo are human beings. These people are hogtied. Their hands and feet are tied together behind their backs, and they're just basically thrown on the decks of the ships. And it doesn't matter if they live or die. And they arrive to this destination. It's a real rocky beach covered in large rocks that look more like river rocks than something you'd expect to see on the coast of the ocean. But they just start grabbing these people by their bonds and just throwing them off the edge of the ship onto the rocky shore. Some are already dead. Some are barely alive. They don't care if their ribs are broken, if their arms are broken. They don't care. They're just throwing them over. They don't care at all. And basically what's happening is this group comes and they meet some other people who are the buyers. And sometimes they're there, sometimes they aren't. But whenever they arrive, they just heave off the bodies. And the other people come. And what they're doing is that there's first I want to explain something. This is something that has gone on throughout the history of man. People have this strange belief, and it's a belief pretty widely believed in China, that if you consume a certain body part of another animal, then you gain the power of that part. There's a big black market for rhinoceros horns because of its Viagra-like powers. There's also a big market for the spleens of bears or something like this. Like, they want to eat these things because they attribute, in a very superstitious fashion, certain powers to different organs, and they think that if they eat that organ, they'll gain that power. So these people are eating human brains. There's a big market for it. They're eating human brains because they believe it will make them wiser. Not very wise at all, honestly. So that's what this is. That's what's happening. These humans have basically become a product. Like, that's how valuable life is. They're just heaving them over the deck of the ship, right out onto the rocks. And the rest of the dream plays out for a very long time as this one man slowly regains consciousness and struggles a little bit, and he manages to hide himself behind a cluster of rocks by kind of inchworming. And this is through several phases of like regaining and losing consciousness. And finally he wakes up once and all the other people are gone. There was one other woman who would occasionally wake up and she would see him struggling. She didn't have enough strength, life left in her to also fight. But she was so glad that this one man, even though he was still bound, was fighting to survive. And as she saw him get closer and closer, she knew what he was doing, what he was going for, to hide himself behind the rock. She was smiling. Like, that was all she had, was just like one smile. That's how much life she had left. She was glad that at least someone would make it. People, the times are going to be very dark. America is really not the place that you want to be. But you can go and find another video that I made, and it's called Jesus Will Work Through the Night. And he showed me, about 7 days after I arrived here, outside America, he showed me that he will work. And that probably that's Jesus' plan. Like, he's moving those people out according to his plan and the time he planned. And he's provided everything for them, and they're all very carefully taken care of. So don't worry about this thing or that thing. The Bible also tells us that some will be put in jail for 10 days and tried. But the Scripture reminds us, and I'm reminding you now, hold on to your faith. Never quit in Jesus. God is able to defeat the devil. He has all power. The devil can't defeat God, and he knows that. That's why the devil has all these plan Bs and plan Cs and backup plans, and he has to hide what he's doing. Because he knows that if he's discovered, if the Christians will pray against it, they will break it. They don't want you to pray against the wicked plans of the enemy. He's so afraid that you will break it, or even to reduce it at all, because he's angry and he wants to kill and destroy as many as he can. It's our move right now to pray. It's our move to draw closer to God. It's our move to put our faith in God and to listen to God and do exactly what we're supposed to do. Each of us needs to be where we need to be, doing what we need to do. If it's making videos or prayer or both or preaching on the street corner, each person, each soldier needs to stand at his position on the line of attack and to attack the enemy and to advance. And that's our goal. We need to be praying, trusting in God. Get into the Scripture. If you're in a dead church, the Scripture is not dead. It's alive. But just be careful you don't have one of the New Age, New Illuminati version, ASV kind of stuff that's intentionally distorted to deceive people, to confuse who is Jesus and who is Satan. A lot of young people, they've only read the New Age versions. They're confused. They think maybe they're the same person. They're not. They're very different. This is the man from Modesto. I'm telling you these stories to let you know that an important time is coming up. You need to draw close to God. You should not receive any fear from these things. They are warnings. And our power is to trust in God. I highly encourage you to go and look up the Visions of Dumitru amazing stuff. Very encouraging and strengthening. This is the man from Modesto reminding you as always to pray or be defeated.